Hello, this is Simon from GAMEZOMATIK and welcome back to the channel, and I'm back with a much long awaited pickup video, which is something I've not done for quite a while. Pickup video, basically because I haven't really been buying much. Like I stated in my channel update video that I did a day or so ago, that I didn't get much over Christmas game related, but I did get some money and things, and I did buy some game related stuff, although not all games. So this is kind of stuff from the back end of last year that I got, and the odd little interesting little thing that, well, I find it interesting anyway, that I've picked up. I'm going to start off with PS2 games. It's funny, it's a kind of a funny one, the PS2, because for me, because I had like a massive, quite a big PS2 collection at one point, and when you start collecting you kind of buy a bit of everything, and then I literally halved it. I went from about 460 games to about 220, cut it right down, got rid of a load of crap that I probably knew I wouldn't play, and it was just stuff that I was buying originally when I started collecting PS2 games. It was kind of, I'd see a game for like £1, or if you're in America, $1, and I'd just get it because it was a good price. Whereas now I'm a little bit more kind of only picking up the things that I want. So I got rid of about 200 games. But it's kind of gone back up to about 300. I think at the last count I had something like 320 or 318 or 320 PS2 games. But it comes a point when you're buying the games, unless you're going for a full collection or something, where there's only certain ones you want. I don't want to buy everything that ever came out on the PS2. I just want to buy the stuff that I like, the stuff that holds that nostalgia for me, or stuff I played back in the day. Also, the thing about the PS2 is, with it being the same generation as the original Xbox, a lot of the titles that normally maybe I'd have got on PS2 I've picked up on original Xbox, simply because they're cheaper, sometimes because graphically they're superior, and sometimes because they're Xbox exclusives and they're not even out on the PlayStation 2. So I'm kind of getting to that point now in my collection where I feel like I'm probably getting nearly, I'd say I'm definitely down to less than 100, well, probably maybe even 50 titles left to get that I want to get in my PS2 collection. Probably, I'd say maybe 100, and some of the really kind of more expensive ones. I'm a massive fan of horror games, and of course the holy grail would be to get Rule of Rose, which, believe it or not, I did play back in the day and is now really, really hard to get a hold of, and goes for about $200 or about 200 quid now. I don't know what it goes for in the US, but I know in the kind of PAL version goes for about £200. It's probably the hardest PS2 horror game, or game even, to get hold of, or one of them. So I'd quite like to have that in the collection, but there's other stuff that's quite hard to get. Some of the Japanese RPGs and things like that I'm not really into, that I'm not bothered about. So I'm not just buying it because it's a rare game and it's expensive. I would like it because I did play it back in the day and I like that genre of game. Anyway, I kind of digress from what I am actually come on here for, which is to talk about pickups. So yeah, PlayStation 2 pickups. Gonna start off with them. So the first one I got is this one, which is Onimusha Blade Warriors. This is a game, I'll put it that way a little bit. This is a game that I wanted to finish the Onimusha set of games on the PS2. I'm a big fan of Onimusha. The first Onimusha Warlords, was one of the first games, probably one of the first games I ever got for the PlayStation 2, and I remember it so vividly. I remember there used to be like a Blockbuster video rental store near us where I lived, and when I joined it, they just started doing games, and one of the first games that I rented out, and I'd not long had my PlayStation 2. I remember renting that game in X Squad, was Onimusha Warlords, and I played it all weekend and I absolutely loved it. So I played all the Onimusha games over the years. I've enjoyed all of them. But this is the one that I didn't have. I was trying to get hold of. This is totally different. Whereas most of the other Onimusha games are kind of not survival horror games, but they're kind of that style of game, even though they're not horror games. You know, that kind of fixed camera angle. Except for the fourth one, which I think was like a 3D environment game. This one is a fighting game. It's called Onimusha Blade Warriors. This is not particularly a game you see out in the wild that much either. It's not an expensive game. I got this for £2.50, which runs in at about $2. So it wasn't an expensive game, but it's just one I haven't seen around that much. In all the years I've kind of been collecting PS2 games now, which must be now, oh God knows how long, you know, trying to get all my PS2 games back and get, you know, whatever. This is the first time I've seen it. When I picked it up a couple of weeks ago, it was the first time I'd seen it out in the wild. So I don't think it's a particularly rare game. It's just not one you see around that much, and I made up to get it because it totally completes that collection of Onimusha games. I did do a PS2 game collection video on my channel about a year ago, but I may do an updated version of it because I've bought quite a few games since then, and it'd be nice to kind of redo the video and go through them all again, you know, because there's definitely quite a lot of new additions since then. Another game that I picked up was a game I've actually already got. I've got it on the Wii, and that is Indiana Jones Staff of Kings. I love Indiana Jones games. This one is not as good as Emperor's Tomb. I've got to say that. It's a decent game and it's a lot of fun, but it's not as good as Emperor's Tomb. Now, the reason I got this on PlayStation 2, and it's actually harder to find on PlayStation 2, again, not an expensive game. You can pick, you know, I paid £1.50 for this, which is nothing, you know. I got it from CX. But the reason I wanted it on PlayStation 2 is simply because I've got it on the Wii, and it's got absolutely dreadful controls on it. It's nearly every single action on the Wii version of this uses some kind of motion control. So you're doing the whip, you've got to do the whip. You're fighting people, you're doing this with the remote. When you're shooting the guns, you're doing it, and it's just too much. You know, it looks great, anything, but it's just too much hard work. I just found it really hard work to play on the Wii. So I just wanted the same game, but to be able to just sit back and play it with a controller. So I picked up Indiana Jones Staff of Kings. So if anyone wants the Wii version of it, let me know and they can have it, because I'm quite happy with this version. And graphically, it's practically identical. So I think the Wii version may have a very slight edge on this version, just down to jaggies and, you know, rough edges, but it still looks great. Little bit of a side note to that: if you're gonna buy Emperor's Tomb on console, buy it on the original Xbox, because it looks absolutely dreadful on the PlayStation 2. Emperor's Tomb. I bought it years ago on the PS2, and it looks awful, but it looks really good on the original Xbox, and also it's backward compatible with Xbox 360 Emperor's Tomb. So yeah, love my Indiana Jones games. Now, talking about CEX and the great game trading store, I saw these two games. Now, it's very rare that you see one of these games. They're both in the same series. It's very rare that you even see one of these games. Pretty rare. Not very rare, but fairly rare that you see them. But to see them together in the same shop next to each other is very unusual. Complete manuals, great condition. And these they weren't that expensive either. I think one was £5, one was £6 or £7. And these are PacMan World and PacMan World 3. 2 and 3. PacMan World 2, PacMan World 3. Great platforms. I played these years ago. This one, PacMan 2's decent. It's okay. This one is really, really good. I really like the third one. I did used to have this on PSP when I had my PSP collection. And I really enjoyed it. I actually completed it. So I've made up to see. Yeah, I just walked in a CX just for Christmas, and they literally were both on the shelves together like that. So I picked them up. There are the other two Pac-Man games that came out for the following generation. Is it Ghostly Adventures? But they seem to really hold their value. I did see again. I saw them. There's actually the same day I picked these up. I saw both the Ghostly Adventures games in various different shops, and I think one was going for about. I'm sure one was going for like £27 or something, or £22, and then the other one was going for about £18, which is way more than I wanted to pay for them. But I would like to pick them up at some point just to see what they're like, because I've not actually played them. But these are two great games, and the third one is a lot of fun. So yeah, some great kind of PS2 games there. Picked up a couple of Xbox 360 games. Nothing like exciting actually, just cheap stuff. Stuff I want to get back in the collection. Red Dead Redemption. Obviously, I had a copy of this. I think my son, my eldest son, he had a copy of this, and I'm sure he might have traded it in. Yeah, I think he traded it. I don't know if he traded my copy, but it was his copy, and I can't remember. We had it in the house, and it went anyway. And I've been wanting to play this again before the new one comes out. I did play it when it came out, finished it and everything, but I did want to play through it again. So I'm going to stick this back on in the next couple of weeks and play through it again. It's an absolutely fantastic game. Looking forward to the next one. I really am. Rockstar always just kind of knock it out of the park, really. Picked up Prince of Persia. This was really cheap. I did have this on PC, but I wanted the console version of it. This is the one that everyone hates because they say it's too easy, and you know, this. I think there might be. I don't know. It's you can't. That's it. That's what people never liked about it. You can't die in it properly. You can die, but the girl kind of saves you every time you fall. But I really enjoyed this game. The fighting in it is not that great. The combat with the monsters in it. The monsters are a little bit like the monsters out of Ico or Eco, or whatever you want to call it. The kind of black smoky monsters. So the combat's not amazing in this game, but I really like the platforming in it and the kind of free-flowing movement in it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I like the art style to it. And I think it's a fantastic Prince of Persia game, and I think credit where credit's due for trying something different. And it's one of my favourite Prince of Persia games. I think they're all good. I don't think there's been a particularly bad Prince of Persia game. I think the weakest one for me was Warrior Within, which was the second game they did after Sands of Time. But I really enjoyed this game, and I just wanted a physical copy of it. And this is one of my. This is what Metal Jesus would refer to as a hidden gem. This is Velvet Assassin. This is a brilliant game. Basically, if you've never played Velvet Assassin, it's a World War II stealth game. You play this girl here. What's her name? I can't remember her name. No, I can't remember what she's called. But basically, she's like a spy, and you spend the whole game kind of creeping through Nazi kind of camps and bases, and you know, stealthily taking out. It's basically Splinter Cell, but set in World War II with a woman as the main protagonist. That's about the easiest way I can explain it, but it's such a fantastic game. It's funny actually, I've not actually finished this game, but I got to the very last kind of part of the game, which is really bloody tough, and I couldn't beat it. It just kept kicking my arse, and I gave up. But again, it's another one I've got on PC, but I wanted a physical copy on Xbox 360. So again, really cheap game. If you see this game, it's fantastic. Pick it up. It's such a hidden gem, and I highly recommend it. Next up, couple of current gen games. Doom VFR. Yeah, it's Doom, but in VR. Yeah, I've been playing this. The only thing about this, it's great and everything. It's a little bit short, but I don't mind because I only paid £10 for it. It's a little bit short, but it looks fantastic. But the control system is a little bit dodgy on it. There's 3 different control systems you can use. You can use the DualShock, you can use the Move controllers, or you can use the gun. You know, the gun, the VR gun, which I'll get to in a minute. but none of them work particularly well, and they're not kind of there's like 3 different versions of controlling the game you can use, but none of them are kind of reprogrammable, and none of them work particularly well. I found the gun the best one. The move controllers is a total write-off. I couldn't play it with the move controllers. It was just unplayable for me because you can't turn in it when you're using the move controllers. You just kind of got to look where you want to go and then teleport to it. A little bit better with the gun, with the DualShock. Just plays like normal Doom with the DualShock, except you're in VR, so that's not too bad. And then I found the gun the best one. That was the most immersive, and that was kind of a mixture of, you could teleport, but you could also just run around if you wanted, so that worked quite well. A little bit short, but really fun and quite immersive. Some really nice. I got every achievement in this bar 1 as well, which was these little bobblehead guys you've got to find. I missed some of them out, but if I can go back and replay it and I find all the bobblehead guys in it, I'll have another platinum on my list, because I got all the other achievements. But yeah, decent VR game, and it's really cheap as well. I picked this up simply because I love the game. I think I've got it on PC, but I wanted a physical copy, and I got this because it was literally £5 in the shop. I've not even opened it yet; it's still factory sealed, and that is The Evil Within. I've just finished this. Well, not just a couple of weeks ago, or about a month ago. I finished the new one, Evil Within 2, and it was one of the best games that I played last year. It really was. I so much enjoyed. It's one of the best survival horror games I've played, along with Resident Evil 7. Just proper old school survival horror game. Really enjoyed it. Fantastic sequel. Much better actually than this game, but this is still a really good game. I know this game's got its faults, but for me, they just totally fixed everything with the second one that was wrong with this one. But this is still a really good game. And then I think I went in game and they were selling this for like £5 for this limited edition, which isn't that limited because I've seen it in loads of places. But you know, to get it brand new for £5, I couldn't pass that up. So yeah, Evil Within, I might give I actually never finished the first one. I did finish the second one. I played right through it, but I never finished the first one, so I want to go back and play this one again. Another game I picked up again, just a game. This is just a game I just fancied playing through again. I played it originally. God, I must have put about 60 or 70 hours into it originally. You know, just loads of hours into it, and then because I got my PlayStation Pro, I just wanted to see what it looked like on the Pro, so I bought it again. It was again another game. It was literally £5 or $4 or whatever, and it was Fallout 4. I could have gone for the Game of the Year edition, but I kind of read online, which put me off, that the add-ons weren't on the disc. It was just kind of a code you got in the box, and the Game of the Year edition was like £20 or something, and this edition was £5. And I just thought, well, I'll get this one because I know for a fact that I've seen the season pass on the PlayStation Store in sales and things anyway. So if I want to get the extra content, I'll pick it up at a later date at a cheaper price. Like I said, I nearly did buy the Game of the Year edition, and then when I saw this was only a £5, I just thought, I'll just get this because it's probably going to take me 100 hours to get through the campaign again anyway. I already played quite a bit of it actually. I was playing this quite a lot over Christmas. I just fancy playing it, so yeah, pick that one up. Yeah, a lot of this stuff I've kind of had before but wanted physical copies of. So yeah, talking about the VR, I mentioned on my last video, I think it was my Game of the Year video, or it might have been the one before that, where I was talking about what games I've been playing, Farpoint, and then again just before Christmas I was out and about and I saw this reduced to a very reasonable price for what it was, so I couldn't resist. I had to pick it up, so I traded in my copy of Farpoint and put it towards this, which is the PlayStation VR aim controller, which is basically a gun for the VR games. It works absolutely fantastic. I used it for Doom and it was the best, like I've just said, it was the best control system. I'll try and hold this back. It was the best control system for Doom by a mile. And as for Farpoint, it just works brilliantly. There's a new game coming out. I think it's coming out in March. It got put back called Bravo Team, which I believe is like a little bit like a military shooter, which uses this. And there's a pack coming out for that. And originally I was going to get that pack, wait and get that pack, but this was reduced, so I picked this one up. So I'm really looking forward to playing that new kind of military shooter. It's not an online shooter, I think, as well. I think you can play it online, obviously, but I think it's actually got a full single player campaign and kind of using the gun where, you know, to lean around corners and shoot. It's really works really well. I was really impressed in how it worked in Farpoint. It was so much better. I mean, it was good using a controller in Farpoint, but when you play it with this, it's 10 times better. So yeah, really impressed with it. I mean, a lot of people were sort of moaning, saying that, oh yeah, but it looks stupid. I mean, it's just a big white piece of plastic. Well, who gives a shit? You can't see it when you've got the mask over your face. It's kind of irrelevant. So, who gives a fuck? As long as it does the job that it needs to do. Now let's get to it. Original Xbox games. These I just picked up the other day. Some of these. Picked up one about a week ago, and then I picked up the rest the other day. So, classified the Sentinel Crisis. This is a first-person shooter. There's not that, you know. I'm trying to put it out. I'm blocking all the light. Yeah, maybe I should put it that way. I don't know how to put it there. Yeah, Sentinel. Classified the Sentinel Crisis, which is a first-person shooter, like a military shooter, a little bit along the lines of kind of, I call it, well, like a more of a modern combat shooter, a bit like a Ghost Recon style modern military game, but like an Xbox version of it. As far as I know, I might be wrong, I think this was an Xbox exclusive. It doesn't say it on the box. It may not have been, maybe it came out on something else, but I've never seen it on the PlayStation 2. And yeah, again, this was fairly cheap. Apparently this didn't review very well, this game, but I was playing it the other day, and it's a really solid shooter for the original Xbox. Definitely one worth picking up. Relatively cheap. Apparently it's quite short, but I was playing that and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, classified the Sentinel Crisis. And then these are just games that I picked up because they were so cheap. I had some credit on a voucher for my local CX. CX. I'm not that much. I mean, I think I had about £6 or something on a voucher. And I picked all these games up, and these were all games that I didn't have in the original Xbox collection, and two on here specifically that I'd actually been looking for anyway. The first one was Power Drone, which is basically Wipeout, or what's that other one that came out on the you see it everywhere, G something it's called. It's basically one of these gravity races, but it's a fun game, and graphics are really nice in it actually. I tell you what though, it's fucking hard as nails, this game. I was playing it for about 2 or 3 hours the other day, and I just get my ass kicked on it. Yeah, it's a tough game. But graphically it's really nice, really cheap. That was £1. Yeah, it was £1, that game. So I just got this because it was like 50p. So you know, 50. You know, it was in mint condition and it was 50p. I wasn't going to leave it on the shelf. America's Army: Rise of a Soldier. Apparently this was designed with actual help from the US military, so it's supposed to be pretty realistic. And again, it's Ubisoft, so you know, it's not like it's a crappy knockoff kind of publisher that you've never heard of that's released it. So I picked that one up. I haven't played that one yet. I've got Razor's Hell, a really good kind of shit. It looks like a platformer if you look at the cover. Yeah, it looks pretty much like a platformer, but it's not a platformer. It's a shooter. It's a third-person shooter, and basically what it is these little things here, these cute little things. They've kind of invaded this planet or this whatever it is, this village or town or country, where these other things live. These ugly kind of monsters, these things, and and you're one of these things, and these little things that look cute decide that your village or town isn't cute enough, and so they come and kill everyone. And then you get transformed into this guy called Raze, or whatever he's called, and you've basically got to save the town. And it's a really violent It's a really violent third-person shooter, but a lot of fun. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I was playing it for quite a while the other day and really enjoying it. So that's another one that's definitely worth picking up. Again, an Xbox exclusive. You know, only came out on the Xbox. And the last one is a game I've been after for ages. I played this years ago back on the PS2 and really liked it. I don't know why, I just did. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Crash Bandicoot, but it's kind of Crash Bandicoot crossed with Frogger, because the way you move in the game, you can only move one kind of square at a time, or one space at a time, so it's kind of a Frogger clone, but it's a really solid game. It's called Zappa, the Wicked Cricket. Again, another game it looks really nice graphically. It really stands out. So it's a really solid little kind of action platformer for the original Xbox. This was really cheap, you know, a couple of quid or whatever. So yeah, picked that one up. Zappa, one Wicked Cricket, but really good kind of nice cartoony graphics. Tough in places as well. Yeah, definitely reminded me a little bit of Crash Bandicoot in places. So yeah. So, and one more game I got. It's a game that I must own on every format. And I've got it. Actually got this on PS4 when it came out. This game, but I think I've got it on PC as well, with the add-ons. But then this came up just recently on sale in game, and this was the version I wanted to get when it came out, and I couldn't get hold of it when it came out, or I couldn't afford it at the time. I think when it came out it was about £80-90. But I managed to pick it up because I had some points on my game card. I managed to pick it up for £16, and that is the Deus Ex Collector's Edition. Unfortunately, they only had it left on the Xbox One, not on the PS4. But I've got an Xbox One. I've got the game anyway so I probably won't even actually play the disc that's in the box because I've already got the game anyway. But I did want the Collector's Edition. Really weird kind of triangle box. But that's kind of all the stuff you get. You get this really nice figure in it. And with Deus Ex being probably like one of my favourite game series next to Wolfenstein, I had to get it. So you kind of get like the box, which is like a prism and gold box, really nice. I'm not going to take it out, but there's other stuff you get in it. You get an Adam Jensen figure, which is really cool, statue, and a book with all the artwork in, and a nice limited edition steelbook, which, like I say, will probably stay sealed because I've already got this game on PS4 and on PC, so it's unlikely I'm gonna unseal it just to play it on Xbox One. But yeah, I couldn't resist it for £16. I had to pick that up because it's probably one of my favourite game series of all time. It's such a shame the way that this has gone, because it doesn't look like we're ever going to get another Deus Ex game ever again. The studio have already come out and said that they're going to move on to producing online games or something. So, which is just like, you what? You know, a great game like that and no one bought it. So, go figure. And the last thing I want to show on this video is some strategy guides that I picked up. Again, after I had some money left on my game card that I got for Christmas off my wife, and her family gave me some game cards, and there wasn't actually any games out. It's pretty barren out there at the moment for games. And actually looking forward into next year, there's not really that much coming out for me personally until about. I kind of looked at all the games that were coming out in the first quarter, and I think there was like 2 that I fancied, and that was Shadow of the Colossus on the PS4, because I love that game. It's just like a piece of art, even though I've already got it on PS3. And I've actually got the original as well up there on PS2, but they totally remastered it, reworked it from the ground up. It looks, I've seen some footage of it, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It's all in 4K for the Pro. It looks amazing, so I'm gonna have to buy that. I think that's coming out in February. And then the only other game I got that kind of fancied that was coming out was Far Cry 5, and that's coming out in March. So pretty much January and February. January and probably most of February is going to be pretty barren and not much to buy. So I decided to buy these instead because, like I said, I saw them. You know, after Christmas, a lot of strategy guides get reduced in the sales. So I just went a bit mad and bought a load of strategy guides. So the first one I got was Metal Gear Solid 4 Collector's Edition guide, which is really nice. Came with like a map and some really nice prints. You know, if you're kind of into this stuff, which I am, I love artwork and things like this. So, but yeah, so I was thinking I might do a video soon on my strategy guides because I'm getting quite a big collection of them. You know, some old, some new, just various different ones. So I might do a little bit of a video about strategy guides. So that's Metal Gear Solid. This one, my good friend Dean over at Escape to Game, and he picked this up when he got the game. And back here, over here in the UK, when the game came out, I just couldn't get it anywhere. I couldn't find it anywhere. And then about a month after the game came out, went to Granger Games and saw it twice in 1 week, annoyingly. But I picked it up. L.A. Noire, which is a game I'm still playing at the moment, actually. Still working my way through it. Fantastic, fantastic game. One of my favourite Rockstar games, actually. So, brilliant, brilliant game. And so just something so different from anything else as well. So I've got the strategy guide for that. Really, really nice strategy game. One of my favourites. I love that cover. It's fantastic. Because I picked up Skyrim on the VR, they must have re-released the strategy guide for that, and I never got one the first time round. So I thought, you know what, I'll pick that up. But it turns out it's actually not a strategy guide. It's actually like an atlas. So it's kind of a Skyrim encyclopedia almost. So I picked that up. It's a Skyrim Atlas. Now includes Nintendo Switch, which I haven't got. My little boy got a Nintendo Switch for Christmas. We got him one. So I figured it didn't warrant me buying a Nintendo Switch because the amount of games that I was kind of burnt a little bit with the Wii U. I bought a Wii U and I loved the console. I thought it was a fantastic console, but they just didn't release anything for it. And I felt, even though the Switch has sold a lot more units, I feel software wise I'm a bit dubious about what they're going to bring out for it. I'd like to play Mario Odyssey. We got my little boy the red Mario Odyssey version for Christmas, so I've kind of been playing a little bit of Mario Odyssey with him, which is really nice actually. It's nice to sit and play a game with him and go through a game together with him. But apart from that and a couple of other titles, I've still not seen that killer kind of app that would entice me to buy one for myself. Maybe Metroid may sway me because I've always liked the Metroid games, but you know, I'd quite like to play Zelda, but I'd probably just buy it and play it, lend it off him and play it. So yeah, anyway, I digress. Yeah, Skyrim, got the Skyrim book. Going back to the game I was talking about before, this was reduced. This is one of the best guides I've ever seen actually. It's just so nice, and that's the Evil Within 2 strategy guide. This is like bound with a proper dust sleeve. It's got loads of really nice prints and artwork in the back from the game. It's so detailed. It's one of the best strategy guides actually I bought. So I couldn't leave that on the shelf. That's Evil Within 2 Collector's Edition strategy guide. Fantastic guide for a fantastic game. Going back to Deus Ex, again I walked in the shop the other day and this was reduced to like £6 or something. Again, I wanted to pick this up when the game came out originally and couldn't get a copy of it. So Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Collector's Limited Edition strategy guide. And finally, Assassin's Creed Origins, which is again another game I'm playing through. I've been playing it since it came out. It's massive. It's like you know what? It almost reminds me of The Witcher. It's that big, the map. It's kind of The Witcher crossed with Assassin's Creed. It's great, fantastic game. Even if you're not into Assassin's Creed games, I highly recommend you go and give Origins a try, because it's such a good game. It's not my favourite Assassin's Creed game, but it's such a good game. And I found out today that they're actually re-releasing Assassin's Creed Rogue for the PS4, which is great because it only came out on the PS3 originally. But yeah, this is the Assassin's Creed Origins hardback strategy guide. Again, you get like this big map thing with all, you know, points on it. Really nice. I love these things. I could just sit there and just flick through them and look at, you know, some of the artwork and stuff, and it's great. So yeah, like I said, not a massive collection of stuff, but some quite interesting stuff. Another game that I bought on download because it was on sale on the PlayStation Store. It's still going for like £40-50 in the shops, and it came up on the store for £16. So I used some of my Christmas money to buy it, and that was Neo, which, if you kind of like your Dark Souls games, which I do, it's kind of a Japanese version of Dark Souls, and so I've been playing that a lot as well. So yeah, just another little pickup, but a digital pickup if you like. Yeah, so that's it. That's the pickups so far. It'll probably be quite a long time before I do another pickup video, because like I said, there's not really much coming out. So I'm going to try and concentrate on some other games and do some gameplays and do some older, trying to do a bit of retro on the channel, and then probably in about 6 months, when they've actually released some decent new stuff, I'll come on and I'll talk about that as well. Thanks for being so patient. Thanks for watching the channel. Please click a like and leave your comments below. I always read everyone's comments, and 99% of the time I always reply to people as well. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps, and this is why we do it. So the more people who watch, the more videos it makes me want to make, if that makes sense. Take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you later. Bye bye.